Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. The Flames have acquired Tyler Toffoli in a trade for next to nothing, and this Stanley Cup run is legit. Just how much better did this team just get, and can they win the Stanley Cup?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm your host, Jess Belmosto of the Metropolitan Riveters Public Relations team. Hope you're having a great day today. Thank you for making Locked On Flames your first listen of the day. Make sure that you're subscribed to us wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, and you'll never want to miss a beat and miss an episode. So make sure those notifications are turned on. Wow, what a day. Brad Treliving went all in and got their guy. Welcome to Calgary, Tyler Toffoli. The exchange for this was absurd. I thought I was reading things wrong. I was expecting like a part 2, but the exchange is Calgary's 2022 first round pick. It's a top 10 protected pick, as well as Calgary's 5th round pick next year, forward Tyler Pitlick, and unsigned drafted player Emil Heineman. Heineman was the player that the Flames got in exchange for Sam Bennett. So, safe to say that trade has worked out okay for both teams now. Tyler Toffoli is 29 years old. He will be 30 in April. He signed through this year as well as next year. I cannot believe that this is happening, or it's happened. It's fully happened. And I was getting ready to make soup for my dinner and obviously put it in the crock pot. And all of a sudden I see a Twitter notification saying, that it's official and the return. And I was losing my mind. I was just so happy and so excited for the Flames to solidify themselves as a contender this year. And I just can't believe that Brad Treliving pulled the trigger around a deadline move, He said himself today that he isn't a trade deadline guy. And, at least there's some accountability there. And Tyler Toffoli and Daryl Sutter go way back to their LA Kings days. Toffoli has won two Stanley Cups and says the Flames are buying what Daryl Sutter is selling, which is huge. You're getting a 5-time 20-goal scorer who knows what it takes to win here. I think that is the most exciting thing about this is finally making a push for the playoffs, and a true strong push, because this team, it's a competitive team, of course. Like we knew that before the All-Star break that this team was competitive. It was fairly easy to see. We all watched the games. And then they come back from the break and they're still competitive. They're still playing that high-scoring hockey that is something we have never seen from this team before, and we weren't sure if we were ever going to get it out of them. But bringing in a guy who has that offensively, I don't even know. He just takes it to another level. I'm speechless. Like I'm recording hours later and I'm just still blown away that Brad Treliving was able to make this happen and able to convince a front office with that package. I'm just blown away. And I think it's so exciting to have someone else come in as, another former Sutter guy and just help this team get to where they need to be in terms of playoffs and in terms of being a true contender. I think that this is really just a step in a leap, a true leap in the right direction. A step feels like it would be underselling it, but we talked about how the Flames needed an upgrade in their top 6 because you need to get that scoring going, and Toffoli has that resume that comes with being a top producer and being clutch in the playoffs and just being someone who can bring you those goals that you need to win. And we'll talk about it next, but like, what does this truly mean for the Flames? What does trading for a top 6 forward mean for you in 2022? And we will talk about that next. But first, we're going to talk about Built Bars. Built Bars are a delicious tasting protein bar that you could use to get through your day and hold you over until the Flames game. They are covered in 100% chocolate and are delicious and easy to store and carry on you when you're on the go. They are a fantastic replacement for candy bars if you're someone like me who's trying to cut out on those unhealthy sweets and replace them with a little more nutrients. Built Bars are just, they don't have that grainy texture like protein bars typically have. They're not disgusting. You can you can chew and enjoy them, and you can also enjoy them for 15% off when you head over to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15. Thank you so much for tuning into Locked on Flames today. I'm hoping you'll follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. It's on the screen right now if you are watching. And keep the discussion going over there because we always have plenty of fun things to say. Why did this trade make the Flames even more legit than they already were? I'll tell you why. Teams who are about to go on a playoff run and think that they can do it have a gut feeling, whether that gut feeling be your record, your talent, your typically, I don't know if hockey general managers think with their guts. I think some do, because I don't think many of them think with their brains. So a lot of them will make this push at the at the trade deadline for someone who will help elevate their team. And I'm going to compare this team to the 2019 Bruins again because they did something similar. They went out and got Charlie Coyle from the Minnesota Wild for Ryan Donato and a third. And he had quite the playoff run. And it's amazing to see the Flames finally believe in themselves and see themselves as a contender and to be a true contender, to be what so many fans have wanted for years. This is their chance to snag a player who will push them to the next level for the second half of the season. You don't want to be stuck playing Vegas, which is probably what's going to happen. Right now, they're 1 point behind Vegas with, I think they still have 3 games in hand. So, those makeup games are going to start happening, and doing it now versus a month later at the deadline allows Tyler Toffoli to get acclimated and settled with this team, and it doesn't allow another team to come in and swoop him up. No one can take him. He's ours now. He's ours. So I think that it is just an amazing move on Treliving's behalf. And to get a guy who has 39 points in 76 playoff games, has won 2 Stanley Cups, and has a history with guys on this team. He was in Milan Lucic's wedding party. He saw some of the guys at in Vegas at the All-Star break, and he has won with Daryl Sutter. Like, he knows this team, and it is so exciting. And he has experience going up against teams in these do or die situations. For God's sakes, he was on a team that took Toronto to 7 games and came out on top last year, okay? He made it to another Stanley Cup last year. Granted, it was with a very different situation. But he is coming from a situation currently that probably leaves him starving for a win, starving for competition, starving to be the Tyler Toffoli that so many people fell in love with in Los Angeles. He is coming from a team with 8 wins and is now with a team that is playing probably some of the most competitive hockey in their franchise history, honestly. But there's going to be that urgency to compete. Getting him in here now allows him to kind of work out the kinks and work out that potential slow start that you can't afford a month down the line from now. And he'll be able to toy around with the lineup. Daryl Sutter will, and it'll allow Toffoli to make those connections and pick other players' brains and see what works. Why should they recreate this play in practice, or bring it over from practice to the game? Why should they play like this against, a Pacific Division team that he hasn't played against in a long time? And he certainly wasn't seeing them last year, So it is very interesting to see and to think about just how far this locker room has come in the last 18 months, probably even less than that, because you get a guy like Blake Coleman who wants to sign here over a larger market in Boston. He sees the potential with Calgary and says, you know what, I think we'll go here. And then more depth starts to come in with the former Los Angeles Kings, Daryl Sutter's guys, Brad Richardson and Trevor Lewis. And then, you start to win a little bit. You start to get comfortable, okay, this is working. This is what's not. And then you go get Tyler Toffoli. Because I guarantee you, Daryl Sutter said, we need to rescue him. And I know that him and his wife loved Montreal, and they were very connected to the city in the short time that they were there, but it's time to make Calgary your new home. And you will find a lot of love in Calgary as well. I guarantee it. And that's not me trying to minimize them moving from family or anything. That's just me saying we will welcome you with open arms, even though I'm not there. But I think it's very interesting that Calgary could potentially become a destination team if this team plays well in the playoffs. And that's something that we have to look forward to. It is so exciting to have exciting hockey to watch and to have this team that is so talented, a goaltender who is just beyond talented, and that top line is so dominant. And then, you're pretty much going to have another third line similar to Tampa's former third line, last year, because there is a lot of depth here, and there is so much talent that you're getting so much more out of your players now than you were prior to Daryl Sutter being your coach. And the Flames are legit. I talked about trying to get more people to buy into them and to get the media talking about them. And then Wyshynski tweeted today that since Toffoli signed through 2024, does that mean Johnny Gaudreau is headed for the U.S.? Shut up. Stop paying attention to this team. Go back to, I don't know, podcasting or something. Like, let us have fun with the narratives, not you. And it's just a fun time getting to see this team start to succeed and to get their gears running before the playoffs. And I know we've talked about the kind of expectation of, well, if they're going to go to the playoffs just to lose in the first round, what's the point? I don't want to say, oh, they're going to win the first round, but the hockey that they're playing right now is playing at a level that will get you to the Stanley Cup. Do I know who their opponent will be? No, I don't know anything. Are you kidding me? There's nothing going on in between these years. But there's just so much to look forward to and so much to be optimistic about. And we have to keep that going. We have to keep the faith, in Daryl Sutter, we trust 2.0, as the kids are saying on Twitter. Just ride this wave. Be excited for your team to be as hungry as they are right now. And they're not going to be satisfied until they win something, until they can come home with a prize. So, future's looking bright here for these Calgary Flames. Coming up next, we are going to talk about the identity that this team has been on the search for years and how it is finally here. But first, BetOnline has football and, well, not anymore. Football's over. Football season might be over, but basketball is in full swing for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all of your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains your best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC, odds, right down to the Olympic coverage and information. Head on over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you again, everyone, for following me wherever you get your podcasts. It means a lot because I think that we're going to have a real fun second half of this season. There is so much to look forward to, so make sure you're subscribed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Stitcher, YouTube. We're here. We're here for the long haul. But I remember when I came in and started hosting this show, I didn't know much about the Flames. They didn't have this sort of staple to their game. They weren't known for anything positive. They really weren't known for anything negative either. They were known for their jerseys and having Johnny Gaudreau and how he always wanted, there's quotes, air quotes around those people, and how he always wanted to head back home. So, we're just going to have to see what this new identity is. And we're going to have to see how this shapes up. And this is so exciting to me because, your team lost their captain. They're without that main focal piece and that that voice in the locker room to bring people together, to lift people up, to look the one that people look towards after a demoralizing loss to, say, like the Ottawa Senators or the Arizona Coyotes or something like that. The team didn't have that this year. They don't have that at all, honestly. But you bring in the voices that you have, like I mentioned, the Blake Coleman, Milan Lucic, Sutter, and obviously Sutter from last year, but Trevor Lewis, Brad Richardson, Tyler Toffoli, and you start to build something. And it's not just, these washed up guys who played for Daryl Sutter who are here because they want to play for him again or anything like that. You're playing and filling your locker room with guys who have won and want to win again, and start preaching and start encouraging this team of what could be if they do X, Y, and Z. You don't have to have a captain to be a leader. You don't have to be a captain to be a leader. You don't have to have a letter on your chest. A leader is someone who leads with or without recognition. Getting that recognition is great, but it's not just handed out like candy. And for this team to go from the bottom of the barrel last year, losing those demoralizing games, getting pucks flipped at you after a loss, and to a team that is becoming feared, to a team that is seen as a competitor and a destination where players want to go because you have a good coach, you have what it takes to win games and to make that run for the cup. Those empty words that we would hear every start of the season, we want to win. Last year didn't end how we wanted it to. Or, those cliche, we really thought this was our year, or this is our year, finally have meaning behind them because there's action to back that up. I think about the playoff bubble that they had 2 years ago. That was almost 2 years ago. Holy cannoli. But they went in and beat Winnipeg. It was ugly, but they beat Winnipeg. No one on that team looked like they wanted to be there. They looked miserable. They get to that next round. Matthew Tkachuk's out with a concussion. He's up in the press box watching, and he is showing more emotion than anyone out on that ice. And then you look at these regular season games now where, there's not too much on the line. It's 2 points is 2 points, but, at some point along the way in the season, you just kind of, I don't want to say you expect to lose, but you accept the idea that a random loss in February is coming. And this team has just grown. It's like they like each other and they want to be around each other. I'm not saying that they didn't like each other before, but there's just some real excitement there. And some, the best example I can think of is Matthew and Johnny like kissing each other's gloves. Like that's a bond. This team has really strong bonds that chemistry, like it's not just on the ice chemistry, it appears to be off the ice as well, and that's important. I talked about it when Blake Coleman signed here, and then it just kind of trickled down. The trickle down economics worked here. Just kidding. But, Jacob Markstrom signed here in free agency. Edmonton offered him more money, but he said, no, I'm going to Calgary. And then, he had a tough year last year. But then Blake Coleman signs here after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. And then the depth trickled in with Trevor Lewis and Brad Richardson and some more depth players that, they didn't really have a chance to make a true difference. They're still young guys or whatever. And then I just feel like the bow on the package is Tyler Toffoli. And that's because he's won under Sutter. He knows what it takes. He has what it takes to win with Daryl Sutter, and he can communicate that. I think that's the big thing that's changed this season is the communication. Communication with gameplay, but also communicating what this team wants. They went from a flaming dumpster fire to a pretty garden, a pretty rose garden that is fun to look at and fun to be around. And you want to watch their games. You want to see how many goals they're going to score, how filthy Andrew Mangiapane is going to play, and how dirty how silly he's going to make goaltenders look. There's something exciting watching Blake Coleman play for Calgary. There's something exciting about Milan Lucic having this resurgence and flashes of that Stanley Cup winning Lucic all these years later. Jacob Markstrom with 8 shutouts or 9 shutouts, and you have a coach who is fun. You have a coach who came out of retirement because he saw the potential and he wanted to work with you again. And to me, that's, these guys truly are the underdogs. They have gone from the bad news bears and the bench warmers to something special. And, I think that the tone of today's episode is definitely more like, it's sincere. I don't feel like I have to sell you on this, but I'm so happy for Flames fans who have wanted something like this for a long time. I've been watching for 2 years, and there needed to be a change. There needed to be that extra oomph, and it's finally here. So let's go get the Stanley Cup and bring it to Calgary. Let's do this. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Flames. I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. And of course, make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you're getting your podcasts. And we will chat tomorrow because there's still some things we gotta address, all right? See you then.